What is a great sign of credibility when you're working in HR? Sometimes people stop at what school did you go to? What did you study in school? How long were you in school? But to be credible when you're working in HR has to go far, far beyond that. So let's talk about it. Hey, it's Brittany, CEO and founder of Townsend Teams Consulting, and I am back with today's video. Today we're talking about credibility when you're working in HR, and also talking about what to look for when you're seeking out a credible HR guide, HR coach, HR facilitator. Working in HR, you sometimes get a bad reputation because people before you maybe were not as effective, or maybe people who are in your company, employees, maybe they've been scorned by other HR professionals. And so you still have to wear the weight of that. These are things that can really undermine your credibility if we don't watch out for them. So we're going to be talking today about what credibility in HR looks like and what you should strive to achieve as you're building your career in HR. On this channel and in my business, I primarily talk to HR Department of One professionals because I know what it feels like to be in that space where you're wondering what comes next. You're navigating your space, you're doing everything day to day to maintain your department, but you're wondering, what does this say for your career? How are you going to be able to grow from here? Is there a place for you to grow from here? And I'm here to let you know there is a way for you to grow. You just have to have a plan around it. If you don't already have something to write with, go ahead and grab something now. I want to make sure you get all of these things we're going to be talking about, but also make sure you come back to this video too if you ever need a refresher. In my day job, I work as VP of Administration HR. So that means I lead 3 departments. I lead training and development, I lead compliance, and also lead HR. In this business, I work primarily with HR Department of One professionals and business leaders to help you to build your HR departments and to build your strategies around things you do day to day. In addition to those things, I also work with the Society for Human Resource Management as a SHRM instructor. And one of the courses that I teach is the SHRM HR Department of One Specialty Credential. And I love this specialty credential program so much because it's really a crash course in what it means and what it takes to really work as an HR Department of One. So we're talking about the biggest things you want to focus on, where you want to have your strategies around. And what I also love about it is that you get a cohort of HR professionals who are in the same place as you, so that you can really work with them either during the program and then also after the program. We'll talk more about that later. While teaching the program, there's a variety of different people from different industries, different years of experience, but they're all seeking the same thing. They're all seeking to build their credibility for various reasons. Some want to build their credibility because they want to grow their career. Some want to build their credibility because they want to just make sure they're doing the right thing, make sure they're on the right track, more of like a confirmation. Some want to build their credibility because they feel that they're not equipped to really do the job well. Maybe they were told to be in that position, or they kind of moved in that position and they don't feel prepared. They're using the tools and the resources and the strategies to really get their program off the ground. In each class, and I like to divide the class up into 5 sessions, 2-hour sessions each, to make sure that you get a lot of time within the class, but also you have time to do the work in between. But within each single class, I see the wheels turning. I hear the conversations. I hear the groups and the conversations being formed within these relationships, because I think it's important that as an HR Department of One, you never feel like you're alone. That's my biggest point of contention around being an HR Department of One. You feel so lonely. There's nobody you can vent to, there's no one that you can work with, and you feel like you're on an island by yourself. The SHRM HR Department of One Specialty Credential Program is a great resource for anyone who is seeking to grow as an HR Department of One and just build your career from there. Believe it or not, having great credibility as an HR Department of One professional, as an HR professional in general, is a non-negotiable. And if you're not consistently building your credibility, then you're doing something wrong. After 15 years of building my career in HR, these are the 3 things that I think credibility looks like when you're building your career in HR. The first thing I will say is you need a very high level of connection within your team. So when I say connection within your team, not necessarily your management team or your leadership team, we'll talk more about that next. But I'm talking about your rank and file employees, your main employees, your frontline staff, your lead employees. Having a connection with your employees, not only your managers, but your employees, gives you a leg up when it comes to having those difficult conversations. You don't want your only conversation with your employees to be negative. There's already these stereotypes and these misconceptions that HR only supports the employer decisions. And while we are paid to work on behalf of the employer, what people often forget is that HR is really that balancing beam between the employee experience and the employer. We're there to advocate on behalf of the employee and also advocate on behalf of the employer. We're that mediator, so to speak. So again, we have to have that high level of connection between you and the employer, you and the employees, because if not, your credibility is shot. Now, I will admit it's very, very difficult to overcome some of these challenges because when you're working as an HR department of one, you are the only person. But I also flip that and say when you're working as HR department of one, you're the only person. So you have the opportunity to represent your entire department yourself. You don't have to worry about what somebody else is doing, what someone else is saying, the answers someone else is giving, because you're doing it all yourself. So that's why it's even that much more important to work deliberately, to be more intentional, to work in excellence with everything that you do, because you are representing your entire department when it's just you working alone. I talk in other videos about things like the stay interviews and the HR follow-ups, but again, you have to have a connection with your people. If they don't know you and if they feel like you don't know them, any direction you give them is going to be met with divisiveness and objection and everything that's negative. But it's going to be less negative. I'm not going to say it's going to be all positive, but it'll be less negative if they believe that you're coming to them with a positive spirit, with a genuine, caring heart, and you understand where they're coming from. So connection with your team is first and foremost. You've got to start there when you're building your credibility, or it's going to be really, really difficult to do anything else. The next sign of credibility in an HR department of one professional is having the trust of your leadership team, the trust of your management team. This is also really, really important because it's one thing for that your frontline employees can trust you, understand where you're coming from. But if your managers don't trust the direction that you're going to give them, if they come to you with an issue dealing with attendance or another employee issue dealing with performance or behavior, they've got to know that you're going to be unbiased. They got to know that you're going to be impartial. They've got to know that you're going to be fair in everything that you give them, and you're not going to be playing favorites. You're not going to do anything like that that's going to undermine your credibility. So again, you have to have the trust of your leadership team to let them know that you're going to be there in their corner, to be able to help them to maybe see their blind spots, to help call out biases that you see, have the difficult conversations. For example, if you got a manager who comes to you and they say, employee A has been out, they're out all the time, they're always on vacation. We need to write them up. We got to get them out of there. If you just take the manager's word for it, yeah, the manager's going to like you, but you've got to be that person to take a step back and say, okay, let's take a look at the full picture and really dig into the details. And oftentimes what you're going to find out is that this person A, employee A, is not the employee who has the most time off. So you're going to see different things that come up, but you've got to do more than just be the yes person. You've got to have those difficult conversations, because even though it's going to be difficult in the moment, it's going to help you to build your trust. It's going to help you build your reputation and build your credibility within your leadership team. And remember, there's multiple levels of management and leadership. So you want to make sure that not only your frontline managers, but also your senior leadership team, you have their trust as well. So that comes with knowing things, not only how to maintain your department, but build your credibility by understanding what's going on in your community, what's going on in your community that's going to help or harm your employees or your employers. So you want to make sure that you are aware of what's happening locally, but also what's happening in the world, what's happening in the nation, what's going on, what are the trends in HR, what are the trends in your industry. Stay on the forefront of things that are happening so you can have intelligent conversations, so you can bring ideas, so you can bring new initiatives to your company. Again, any person can just maintain, but if you're trying to build your credibility and trying to take your career to that very next level, you've got to be forward thinking. You've got to think 3 steps ahead. And if it's May right now, you should be thinking about November and next May. Like, don't ever think about just this week. You've got to always think 6 and 7 steps ahead. As I've built my career and as I've taken my career to various levels of success, I've done that by taking a lot of different things from different places, grabbing this book, doing this resource, going to this conference. But one thing that I really recommend is the SHRM HR Department of One Specialty Credential. It's a relatively new program, but I really enjoy facilitating it because it helps you to know, it's more of a crash course of what you need to know as an HR Department of One. And one of the biggest benefits that I feel is that you get 10 hours of instructor-led content. This is not some web-based program that you log into and you do 10 hours of instruction on your own. No, you're in 10 hours of instruction with a group, with a cohort of other HR Department of One professionals who are all seeking to build your credibility. How powerful is that? When I started out as an HR Department of One, when I started working as an HR Department of One, I wish there was something like this that was out there for me. I would have been the first one to sign up. But now that I'm able to facilitate it, I get a different level of perspective and a different level of satisfaction by doing it in this order. I'm going to drop the link down below in the description to learn more about this program, but I really love facilitating it, and I have an upcoming program coming in just a few weeks. So click the link down below to learn more about it. I will say it's 10 hours of instructor-led content, and think of it again like a crash course of what it takes to be an HR Department of One, but really going to help you to focus on what you should be prioritizing, what strategies should you be implementing around things like recruiting, around things like talent acquisition and employee retention, and all these things that are going to come up. You'll learn more about that down below. But in addition to the 10 hours of instructor-led content that typically break out over 5 different sessions, you also have some e-courses that you have to take, and then at the end you take an assessment. And once you successfully do all of those things, then you get a specialty credential that you can add to your resume. You can put on your LinkedIn profile, add it to your email signature. And it's really just going to signal your dedication to your profession and your willingness and your commitment to take your company to the very next level. This program is such a gem. I have so much fun facilitating it. I love to see the wheels turning with the participants as they have so many aha moments. And I feel like when they enter the program, they're entering the program to build their credibility. They want to know more. They want to be more prepared. But when they end, they've got so many ideas. They've written so many action plans. They've got so many things to call back to. And when you have your cohort of participants as well, you've got a resource within those people as well. So if you are interested in being in my very next cohort, click the link down below to get tuned in. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'll talk to you in the very next video. Bye.